Stop sending goodnight texts. Seriously, that sweet sleep well message you think is keeping you on his mind, it's actually making you invisible. And the worst part, you have no idea it's happening. Every single night, women send texts they think are creating connection, but they're really just blending into the background noise of his phone. Meanwhile, the woman who knows what she's doing, she sends one message and suddenly she's the last thing he thinks about before he sleeps and the first thing he remembers when he wakes up. The difference isn't about being prettier or funnier or more available. It's about understanding something most women never learn. Men's brains work completely differently than ours at night. And if you keep texting him the way that feels natural to you, you'll keep getting the same result. He'll read it, maybe send a quick reply, and then forget you existed 5 minutes later. So here's what we're doing today. I'm walking you through 5 specific goodnight messages that work with his psychology, not against it. These aren't cute lines you copy and paste. They're tools. And when you use them right, they create something in his mind that stays with him long after he puts his phone down. But before we get into any of these messages, you need to understand the rules, because sending the wrong message at the wrong time doesn't just fail. It actually pushes him away. Never send these when you're feeling needy. Never send them when he's been distant or cold. Never send them every single night because that kills the impact. And never ever send them hoping he'll text you back immediately to make you feel better. A woman with real power sends the message, sets the tone, and then goes to bed. She doesn't sit there staring at her phone waiting for 3 dots to appear. She has a life. Once you get that part down, everything else becomes easy. Now let me tell you why this matters so much. When a man lies down at night, his mind shifts. The day is over. The noise stops. And suddenly he's alone with his thoughts. That's when his brain starts sorting through everything that happened. The conversations, the interactions, the people. And here's the thing most women don't realize. Whatever you plant in his mind right before that moment, that's what grows. If you send something forgettable, you become forgettable. If you send something that makes him feel something, you become the thing he can't stop thinking about. It's that simple. But most women are scared to do anything that feels bold. They play it safe. They send the same sweet dreams text every guy gets from every girl. And then they wonder why he's not obsessed. You want different results? You have to be willing to stand out. And here's something else you need to understand before we go any further. Men don't process emotion the same way we do. When you send a sweet, caring message, you think you're showing him you care, and you are. But here's what you're missing. He doesn't need more sweetness. He gets that from his mom, his sister, his friends. What he responds to is something different, something that makes him feel something he doesn't feel with everyone else. That's intrigue. That's mystery. That's the sense that you're not like the other women texting him, because trust me, other women are texting him. Maybe not romantically, but he's got female co-workers, friends, acquaintances. And if your message sounds like it could have come from any of them, you're not special to him. You're just another name in his phone. But when you send something that makes him pause, that makes him think, that makes him smile in a way he wasn't expecting, that's when you become different. That's when you stand out. Think about it this way. Most women approach men the way they want to be approached. They're thoughtful, they're considerate, they ask how his day was, they send encouraging messages. And all of that is nice, but nice doesn't create attraction. Nice doesn't make him obsessed. Nice makes you a good person, but it doesn't make you the person he can't stop thinking about. What does? Being the woman who understands what actually moves him. The woman who knows when to be warm and when to pull back. The woman who can be playful without being clingy. The woman who makes him work a little bit without making him feel like he's chasing someone who doesn't care. That balance is everything. And these 5 messages, they're designed to help you find that balance. All right, let's get into the first message. Number 1, good night. Try not to dream about me. This is your starting move It's light, it's playful, and it doesn't try too hard. But it does something most women never think to do. It plants an idea in his head right before he goes to sleep. And that idea, it's you. This message works best early on or in the middle stage when things are going well. And there's already some flirtation between you two. You've been texting, maybe you hung out once or twice, and the vibe is good. That's when you send this. Not before, not when things are rocky, when the energy is already there. So why does this work? Because you're doing something sneaky. You're telling him not to think about you, which actually makes him think about you more. It's basic psychology. When someone says, don't think about a pink elephant, what do you immediately picture? A pink elephant. Same thing here. You're acting like you're trying to stay out of his dreams, but really, you're making sure you're the last thing on his mind before he falls asleep. And here's the bonus. It's confident without being aggressive. You are not saying, I hope you dream about me, like you're desperate for his attention. You're saying, try not to, like you already know he probably will. That's attractive. That's the energy that makes a man lean in. Now picture what happens when he reads this. He's in bed, scrolling through his phone, and your message pops up. He smiles, maybe he laughs a little. And then he puts his phone down and closes his eyes. But guess what? You're still there. Because you put yourself there. His brain is already running with it. And if he does dream about you, even a little bit, you've just created a connection he didn't see coming. But here's where women mess this up. They add too much. They throw in a heart emoji or a haha, just kidding right after, which kills the whole thing. Or they send it when he's been dry and unresponsive, hoping it'll magically fix things. It won't. This message only works when the foundation is already there. You're not building attraction from scratch. You're boosting what's already happening. The beauty of this message is also in what it doesn't say. You're not explaining yourself. You're not adding a bunch of context. You're just dropping that one line and letting it sit. That takes confidence. Most women feel the need to soften everything they say, to add extra words that make it less bold, less direct. But that's exactly what waters down the impact. When you can send something playful and just let it be what it is, that shows him you're comfortable with yourself. You're not second guessing. You're not worried about how he'll take it. You trust that it'll land the way it's supposed to. And that kind of self-assurance is magnetic. If he replies with something playful like no promises or too late, keep it short. Something like figured or can't blame you keeps your energy light and confident. Don't overthink it. Don't write a paragraph back. The power is in staying calm and unbothered. That's what keeps him hooked. And if he doesn't reply at all, that's fine too. You weren't sending it to get a response. You were sending it to plant a seed, and seeds don't grow overnight. They grow quietly under the surface, and before you know it, something's blooming. Number 2, good night. I hope your bed isn't too lonely without me there. Now we're stepping it up. This message is more intimate, more direct, but still playful enough that it doesn't feel heavy. This is for when you've been talking for a while and there's definite chemistry. Maybe you've spent time together in person. Maybe there's been some physical touch. The connection is real and he knows it. That's when you drop this line. What makes this message powerful is the image it creates. The second he reads it, his brain paints a picture. Him in his bed. You potentially being there. It's subtle, but it lands. You're not being explicit. You're not saying anything sexual, but you are making him imagine you in his space, in his bed next to him. And once that image is in his head, it's hard to shake. Men are visual. They think in pictures. And when you give him a picture like this, especially right before he goes to sleep, it sticks with him way longer than any sweet dreams text ever could. There's also something else happening here. You're being a little bold. You're implying a closeness that doesn't exist yet, but could. And men respond to that kind of confidence. It shows you're not afraid to hint at something more. You're not playing small or acting like you need his permission to flirt. You're just putting it out there calmly and letting him sit with it. The key is that you're not asking him for anything. You're not saying, do you wish I was there? You're making a statement. And that statement makes him wonder, does he wish you were there? The answer is probably yes. And now he's thinking about it. Here's what most women don't understand about men and physical closeness. They assume men only think about it in a sexual way. But that's not the full picture. Yes, there's that element. But there's also something else. Men crave comfort and closeness just as much as women do. They just don't talk about it the same way. When you send a message like this, you're tapping into both sides. You're acknowledging the physical, but you're also hinting at something softer, the idea of just being next to someone, that warmth, that presence. And that combination is incredibly powerful because it makes him feel something that goes deeper than just surface level attraction. But timing is everything. If you send this too early, before any real connection exists, it feels random. It feels like you're trying too hard. And if you send it when things are off, when he's been distant or weird, it comes across as desperate. You're not using this message to win him back. You're using it to deepen something that's already good. Imagine he responds with, "My bed is fine, thanks," or something cheeky. You don't panic. You don't backtrack. You just match his energy. Good to hear. Mine's better though. Short, confident, playful. You're not chasing validation. You're just having fun. And that's the vibe that keeps a man interested. The moment you start explaining yourself or getting defensive, you lose. So stay light, stay in control of your own emotions, and let him sit with whatever he's feeling. Number 3, good night. Let me know if I show up in your dreams tonight. This is where things get really interesting because this message doesn't just plant a seed. It creates a reason for him to text you tomorrow. You're not just ending the night. You're building a bridge to the next morning. And that's smart. This works best when you're solidly in the middle of getting to know each other. The vibe is consistent. He's texting you regularly. You've been on a few dates or you're heading in that direction. The connection feels natural. That's when this message makes sense. Here's the genius of it. You're giving him an easy, playful reason to reach out tomorrow without making it feel like pressure. You're not saying, "Text me tomorrow." You're not asking, "Did you think about me?" You're just throwing out a fun little thread that he can pick up if he wants to. And most of the time, he will, because it's low stakes, it's lighthearted, and it gives him something to say that doesn't feel forced. Women underestimate how much men appreciate having an easy entry point into conversation. This message gives him exactly that. On top of that, you're doing the same thing as before, putting yourself in his head right before he falls asleep. But now you've added an extra layer. You've made it interactive. Whether he dreams about you or not, he's going to remember that you asked. And when he wakes up, there's a decent chance you're one of the first things he thinks about. That's when he might send a text. "No dreams, sorry to disappoint," or "You actually did show up." Either way, you win. The conversation continues. The connection deepens. What's also brilliant about this message is that it removes the awkwardness of the next day text. You know that weird moment where you're both awake but nobody wants to text first because nobody wants to seem too eager? This solves that. You've already created a natural opening. He doesn't have to think of something clever to say. He doesn't have to wonder if you want to hear from him. You've given him permission to reach out in a way that feels easy and fun. And men love that. They love when a woman makes things simple instead of complicated. But here's what you can't do. Don't follow up the next morning if he doesn't text. Don't send "so any dreams," because that flips the whole thing. Suddenly, you look like you were sitting around waiting for his response, and that kills your power. The strength of this message is that it's optional. He can engage or not. And if he doesn't, it's not a big deal. You're not attached to the outcome. That's what makes you different from every other woman texting him. If he does respond with something funny or teasing, keep it light. I'll take that as a yes, or figured I'd make an appearance. Don't write an essay. Don't get too serious. Just stay in the playful zone and let the moment breathe. The more relaxed you are, the more attractive you become. Because you're showing him that you're not overthinking any of this. You're just enjoying the connection for what it is. And that freedom is contagious. It makes him feel like he can relax too. Like he doesn't have to perform or impress you. He can just be himself. And when a man feels that way around you, that's when he starts falling. Number 4, good night. Don't think about me too much or you won't get any sleep. Now we're fully in confident territory. This message is bold. It assumes he's already thinking about you. It assumes you have an effect on him. And that kind of self-assuredness, That's what separates you from women who are still trying to figure out if he even likes them. This message works best when the chemistry is obvious, when he's showing clear signs he's into you, when your conversations are flirty, fun, and consistent. You're not guessing anymore. You know he's interested. That's when you can send something like this without it feeling out of place. What makes this message powerful is the assumption. You're not asking if he's thinking about you. You're not hoping he is. You're stating it like it's a fact. And here's the thing about confident assumptions. They often become true. When you act like something is already happening, people's brains tend to follow that lead. So even if he wasn't thinking about you before, now he is, because you just told him he was. And instead of being annoyed, he's probably smiling. Because confidence like that is attractive. It's playful. It's different from what most women do. There's also an element of challenge here. You're suggesting that thinking about you is so intense that it might keep him awake. That's a compliment to yourself without being arrogant. It's cheeky without being over the top. And men respond well to that kind of energy. It shows you're not sitting around worried about what he thinks of you. You already know, or at least you act like you do. And that makes him want to prove you right. Men are competitive by nature. When you throw down a playful challenge like this, something in him wants to rise to it, not in an aggressive way, but in a way that makes him engage more deeply. Think about the other women in his life. How many of them would send a message like this? Probably none. Most women are still trying to be liked, still trying to make sure they're not being too much or coming on too strong. But you're operating from a completely different place. You're not worried about being too much. You're comfortable taking up space. You're comfortable being memorable. And that's rare. That's the kind of energy that makes a man stop scrolling through his messages and actually pay attention. But this only works if your energy matches the message. If you're feeling insecure when you send it, that leaks through. If you're secretly hoping he'll validate you by saying, yes, I am thinking about you, then you've already lost. This message has to come from a place of genuine lightness. You're teasing him. You're having fun. You're not fishing for reassurance. If he comes back with something like confident much, you don't flinch. You just stay steady. Just being realistic, or you'll thank me when you actually get some sleep. Keep it playful. Keep it short. Don't explain yourself. And whatever you do, don't ask him the next day if he thought about you. That ruins everything. The power of this message lives in the fact that you don't need to know. You're not waiting for confirmation. You sent it, you went to sleep, and you moved on with your life. That's the energy that makes a man chase. Because suddenly he's the one wondering if you were serious. He's the one thinking about whether you know something he doesn't. And that shift where he's in his head about you instead of you being in your head about him, that's when everything changes. Number 5, good night. If you can't sleep, I'm here. This is the deepest message on the list. It's not playful, it's not teasing, it's warm, it's open, and it's real. And that's exactly why it belongs at the end, because this message only works when there's already trust between you two. When you've moved past the early flirting stage and into something that feels more solid, more connected. This is for later on, when he's shown you that he values you and you've shown him the same. That's when this message hits. What makes this different from everything else is the tone. You're not trying to intrigue him. You're not planting ideas or being cheeky. You're offering something much simpler, presence. You're telling him that if his mind is racing, if he's stressed, if he just needs someone to talk to, you're available. And you're not making a big deal out of it. You're just letting him know the door is open. That kind of quiet availability is incredibly powerful because most women either smother men with concern or stay completely distant. This message does neither. It's a middle ground that feels safe without being needy. Men value women who can hold space without making everything about them. This message shows him that you're someone he can lean on without you turning it into a therapy session or trying to fix all his problems. You're just there, steady, calm, present. And that's rare. Think about the moment he reads this. It's late. Maybe he's tired, but his brain won't shut off. Maybe he's fine and just winding down. Either way, he sees your message and something softens. Even if he doesn't text back, he feels it. And if he does reach out later with a still awake or can't sleep, you don't jump into rescue mode. You just reply with warmth. What's going on? Or I'm here. What's on your mind? You're not solving anything. You're not taking on his stress. You're just being present. And that makes him feel seen without feeling suffocated. This message also does something else that's important. It shows him a different side of you. Up until now, you've been playful, flirty, confident, and all of that is great. But this shows him depth. It shows him that you're not just fun to text with. You're someone who can be there when things aren't fun. Someone who has emotional range. Someone who can match his energy, whether it's light or heavy. And that's the kind of woman a man builds something real with. Because he's not just attracted to you, he trusts you. But here's the trap. If you send this message hoping he'll text back so you feel important, it backfires. If you send it because you want to be his emotional support so he'll need you, that's manipulation, not connection. This message only works when it's genuine, when you're actually okay whether he reaches out or not. You're offering, not demanding. You're creating space, not filling it. That's the difference between a woman who understands men and a woman who's still trying to force connection. If he thanks you the next day or says something like, appreciate that, you keep it simple. Anytime or I mean it. No big speeches, no turning it into a moment. Just let it be what it is. A small, meaningful gesture that builds trust over time. Because that's how real connection happens. Not through grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but through small, consistent moments where you show up as someone solid, someone real, someone he can count on. So now you've seen all 5 messages, and more importantly, you understand why they work. You're not just copying lines. You're learning how to speak in a way that actually lands with him. You're figuring out the timing, the tone, the energy behind the words, because that's what makes the difference. Most women will hear these messages and send them randomly, hoping for magic. The woman who wins is the one who understands the psychology, the one who knows that it's not about the text itself. It's about what the text creates in his mind. It's about the space you leave, the confidence you carry, the fact that you're not desperate for his response. You're no longer the woman sending generic good nights that disappear into the void. You're the woman who knows how to make an impact without trying too hard. You're stepping into a completely different category, the category of women who understand that attraction isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. And that's what shifts everything, because when you get this right, you're not just someone he texts. You're someone he thinks about, someone he wants to keep around, someone who stays in his mind long after the conversation ends. And here's the truth that ties all of this together. These messages work because they respect something fundamental about how men operate. They give him space to feel something without forcing him to declare it. They create intrigue without being manipulative. They show confidence without arrogance. They offer warmth without neediness. That balance is what most women never find. They swing too far in one direction or the other. Either they're so careful and sweet that they're boring, or they're so bold that they come across as trying too hard. But you're learning how to walk the line, how to be interesting and grounded at the same time, how to be confident and warm without being either cold or clingy. So here's what you do next. Pick one of these messages and try it tonight. Not all 5, just one. See what happens. Pay attention to how he responds. Pay attention to how you feel sending it, and then come back and let me know. Drop a comment telling me which one you used or which one surprised you the most. Hit like if this gave you something you didn't know before. Share it with a friend who needs to stop sending boring good nights. And subscribe so you don't slip back into old habits, because there's so much more to learn and you're just getting started.